Good Thursday evening, everyone. It's the Valley's geekiest, most detailed weather forecast. We call it Weather for Weather Geeks. Even if you're not a weather geek, this video I think you'll find is pretty useful in these very, very active weather patterns like we're in right now. This morning was treacherous, particularly in Trumbull and parts of Mercer counties. This time-lapse video is from our weather camera in Niles, right by the Eastwood Mall. We had some squalls that moved through, and the roads were just really, really bad for a while. For the first few hours of daylight, I would say, this morning. And then as we got towards lunchtime into the afternoon, things did slowly improve. But it was a slow improvement. You know, salt and even a salt brine, whatever they use, mixture, just doesn't work that well when it's this cold outside. And we saw evidence of that early on today. Wind chills, also the story today, and as expected, they stayed below 0 all day. The air temperature only made it up to 13 this afternoon, which was our forecast. Our forecast was also for wind chills below 0. That did happen. As we go into the night tonight, the wind will continue to kind of die off, but also going down is the temperature. Above my head is the expected air temperature according to one of our models. I think this model's too warm. I think probably closer to 2 or 3 on average by about daybreak tomorrow. Notice the wind chills below 0, even though there won't be much breeze. It's not going to take much breeze to create wind chills of 5 to 10 below, and already we're crawling a bunch of 2-hour delays for the schools on our air, and you can find those on our apps and on WFMJ.com as well. Tomorrow, again, not a particularly windy day, especially compared to today, so with air temperatures climbing into the teens, the wind chills will finally get above 0 as we get into the afternoon on your Friday. Clouds will increase during the day, but we will be precipitation free through the daylight hours tomorrow. Here's the precipitation loop today. This is a 12-hour loop, starting this morning with those bands kind of oriented northwest to southeast. Then they retreated north, and now they're almost oriented due east, west to east. And so they're impacting Lake County, northern Geauga County, parts of Ashtabula County, and I can't rule out far northern Trumbull, up towards Mespo, Mecca, maybe Kinsman. You start to get a little bit of snow this evening, but this is going to be largely aimed off to the north. Despite that, the Weather Service is still carrying a lake effect snow advisory for Trumbull County. I suspect they're going to drop that before too much longer. And here's why. Things overnight will not be particularly active, except up in the primary snowbelt, Geauga Lake, Ashtabula, heading over towards Crawford and Erie in PA. No concerns from anything falling from the sky tomorrow morning as you head off to work and 2 hours late to school. There could be some residual slick spots, though. Again, everything's just frozen solid out there. And so your sidewalks, your driveway, parking lots, anything untreated, even things that are kind of treated, could still be very slick first thing in the morning, side streets included. All right, let's start focusing on the next weather maker. Again, tomorrow during the daylight hours, no problems. Clouds will increase. Then here's our period of snow starting tomorrow evening, right around this time. Pardon me. First thing we're going to see is snow. This will be high ratio snow because of the Arctic air, so you're going to squeeze out pretty decent accumulations out of a relatively small amount of moisture. We could pick up a quick couple of inches out of this. I'll show you the snow map in just a second. But then as we head deeper into the night, I think even though it's still going to be below freezing at the ground, you don't have to go up too far, a couple of thousand feet, and the air will be getting above freezing. Warmer air is lighter than cold air, and it goes up and over the cold air. And so that's going to change the snow over to liquid. The problem is we'll be below freezing. So when the liquid hits the ground, that's freezing rain. Hopefully this doesn't last more than an hour or two, and I don't think it will in most spots, but still a minor concern for some glazes of ice early Saturday. Now the timing on this is pretty good, and there's not a lot of people out at 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. But nonetheless, if you happen to be one of those people, might have to watch for a glaze of ice on top of a couple or a few inches of snow that already had fallen. Now everything just turns wet as we get into the midday and the afternoon. Temperatures actually get well into the 40s. And there'll be some showers around Saturday afternoon. So the malls will be packed this weekend. Saturday, if you're running errands, doing some holiday shopping, give it a few hours. Just wait till the afternoon and you'll be just fine. So another graphical look at the timing of things here. That mixed zone roughly from 3 or 4 a.m. through maybe 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And then everything just becomes liquid precipitation. Notice we do change back over to snow Saturday night. Not looking for a big accumulation out of that, but we might have to watch for things refreezing and causing some slick spots. Now this is valid at where the airport is in Vienna. Our computer modeling here. Notice the NAM is quite a bit lower. That's because it changes things over to a mix sooner than the other models. RPM kind of in a similar boat. The GFS, the Canadian, and the European model are all a little bit beefier with the snow and a little slower with the changeover to mixed precipitation. But, I think what we're looking at here is a quick thump of an inch or two in the light blue, including Lisbon and Salineville and Hanoverton and Salem, Columbiana, Boardman, Poland, Newcastle, Youngstown. A quick inch or two. And the reason why amounts might be a little bit higher off to the north, you might squeeze out 3 or so in Warren and Cortland and Sharon and Greenville and Mercer. It's because the transition over to freezing rain and mixed precipitation is going to be a little bit slower up there. So we're not looking at a big snow accumulation here, but a quick couple of inches on average tomorrow night starting around mid-evening. The ice accumulation, as long as this doesn't last more than an hour or two, I don't think this will be a big deal. Minor little glazes. Notice our model here printing out a couple of hundredths of an inch of ice accumulation. Generally speaking, the magic number when it comes to ice accretion is about 1/10 of an inch. Once you get 1/10 of an inch or more of ice accretion on tree limbs and power lines and things like that, then you really start running into some problems. As long as we're under 1/10 of an inch, certainly there can be slick spots. I can't totally rule out an isolated pocket of utility interruptions if you get a little glaze. But as long as we stay under 1/10 of an inch, I don't think the ice is a tremendously big deal. So I kept the impacts in the moderate range, and one of the reasons for that is the timing on this. 3, 4 o'clock on a Saturday morning, most people aren't going to be bothered much by the ice as long as their power doesn't go out. If this were a Wednesday at 8 a.m., it'd be a whole lot different. A little glaze on top of some snow would cause huge problems on a work day later in the morning. But 3, 4 in the morning on a Saturday, generally speaking, we should be able to handle this okay. Wanted to show you this. This is out of our area, but look at these horrific wind chills this weekend in the upper Midwest. This is Saturday morning, 45 below in Bismarck, North Dakota, 32 below in Fargo as far as the wind chill. And then that heads east on Sunday, 31 below in Minneapolis, the wind chill for Sunday morning. Now this Arctic air mass is coming our way in a modified form, and the next Arctic air mass is not going to be as horrendous as the one we're in right now, but still, I've only got 23 for a high on Monday with overnight temperatures in the single digits. Pattern's going to change. I've been talking about this all week. As we go towards Christmas and a little past Christmas and towards New Year's, it's not going to be the kind of warmth we had a lot of last December, but this will be a pattern that produces some near to above average temperature days instead of the kind of cold we're in right now. So, I've been talking about a white Christmas possibility being surprisingly low, given all the snow that's on the ground, and given how cold it is, and it's going to be for a couple of days. Some of the snow is going to melt with the rain and the warmer temperature Saturday. I don't think we have any additional snow coming for most of next week, at least the first half of the week. And again, with the warmer temperatures, especially during the day, that snowpack's going to continue to dwindle, and so most people define a white Christmas as an inch or more on the ground. Don't think the chances are all that high of that, despite how it looks right now. Thanks for watching tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you tonight, 21 News at 11, with your 7-day forecast and more weather coverage. Have a great night.